Virginia International Raceway, all part of the SRO America Blancpain GT World Challenge, America's event at VIR, presented by Henry Repeating Arms. I'm Greg Creamer, joined once again by Calvin Fish. Ryan Marine will be with us in pit lane. Busy day yesterday, and 5 races that are going to unfold yet today. And we are set to go here for this second race of the weekend for the TC America Touring Car Division. And it is essentially their 4th round of the championship, opening 2 rounds coming about 6 weeks ago at Circuit of the Americas. Round 3 of the championship unfolding yesterday, and it was an eventful race. There's no other way to put it. Lots of action unfolding in that one, lots of incidents, Cal.
There really was, and unfortunately overnight we had a little bit of rain, and this is a racetrack that is high energy. If you make a mistake here, it can bite you, and with the wet grass today, the drivers have to be really up on their toes. But it was a great race. Unfortunately, we didn't see as much green flag action as we would like to, but for Johann Schwartz, it was a big day, points and with another win.
Yeah, he has really been stout this season, obviously. Didn't get the quickest lap in the race, however, so he will not be starting up front. But the number 94 Chandler Hull, who was just put in a storming drive at times during that race, Cal, ended up with a fast lap.
Yeah, and that's important because the laps from yesterday, your fastest lap sets the grid for today. So it's an unusual front row. We don't see Johann up there. He's actually back in 3rd on the grid. So our championship leader's got a little bit of work to do today. He's had the dominant car, I think, yesterday. He was just settling in, thinking about the long green flag run, which we never got. So he was kind of saving tires and allowed Chandler Hull to pop in a quick one early on, and that gets him the pole position.
And Steve Strymer, who had a big win here last year, running in a different car with a different team, stepping over to the Rooster Hall team, popping it right on the outside of that front row.
Yes, he loves this racetrack. He's driving it in a different car, obviously, this year, making that switch. So a little bit of an adjustment, but he has that comfort factor. He likes the flow of this racetrack. Expect a strong performance from him today.
And a former champion in this category sitting here as well, Toby Grahovic, starting in the 4th spot in his classic BMW car. Strong finish, 2nd yesterday as well. So it was, as we said, it was pretty fraught and intense. Let's go back and take a look at some of the action that did unfold yesterday. Johann Schwartz, from his pole position, jumped out into the lead and was able to hold on to it. However, it was getting pretty fierce behind it. Toby Grahovic slotting into the 2nd spot. And Richard Zulman, teammate to Johann Schwartz, that 3rd BMW, he was on a charge. Looked to have a really good day in store for him, but then ran afoul of an attack by Paul Terry, who found some speed and got a little over-aggressive.
Yeah, he did. Just got a little aggressive down into turn 1 left, braking a little bit too late. Nowhere to go with up and over the curb, and that turns Richard around. So Rooster Hall were having a great day, running their cars in 1st and 3rd, loses one of their opportunities for points.
And then the young man by the name of Shehan Chandrasoma, big off in the uphill climbing S's, and he got into it hard. Chandler Hull, big save here, but in the background, watch Robert Nimkoff in the Auto Technique BMW. As we slow it down, look to the left, huge impact, Cal.
Yeah, I think he may have got distracted by the car bouncing through the grass there, and either way, he ends up in the fence big time.
And that caution, it just was not going to be able to get the track put back together in time. So it finished under caution, and again, Johann getting the win over Grahovic, with Steve Strymer completing the podium. Here, though, is the look of the front row here. And the speed we saw from Chandler yesterday, he is definitely going to be somebody to keep a significant eye on as this one gets going. And he's running the Copart. And here's the key, Bimmer World BMW. Huge knowledge of this track for Bimmer World.
Yeah, they've run here for so long, and they have a great notebook to work with in terms of the chassis setup. So even though they're running new cars for this year, that all translates, and I think that's why they got a car sitting on the pole position. They'd love to bring it home in front of their family and friends here this weekend.
Johann starting in that 3rd spot, leading in the points. Zulman had a great lap. Will start in that top 5. Tom Capizzi, in his 1st season of professional racing, continuing to impress right there, starting in the 6th spot. There's Cameron Evans in the team Copart Bimmer World car. And then Marco Radisek, late addition to the touring car field in that classic BMW, showing some good pace, starting in the 9th spot. Joseph Federal in his Nissan. And then alongside will be Nimkoff. They had a car available for him. There's Paul Terry trying to make up for the issue yesterday. And for Shehan Chandrasoma, today's a special day for him. They got the car fixed, and it's a special day for him as well.
16th birthday. Young man's getting old, Greg.
He is, boy. And then Mosey Uretsky, and if you watched the race yesterday, we thought he had an electrical issue because it just looked like he had pulled off and stopped. What we didn't see was a little damage to the left front corner. Apparently there was a little bit of contact, and it broke something in the left front, so that's why he just had to sit and park. And talked to the team this morning. They got the car fixed. They said didn't get in very deep. It was an easy fix, and they should be ready to go.
Well, that's certainly the good news, and everyone getting ready to go. Slightly cooler conditions than we saw here yesterday morning. Track is still a little bit damp in spots, but should provide a great racing surface. And one thing that we noticed yesterday, Greg, in some of the other races, the curbage here. If you get over the backside of those curbs, you've got to pay attention because there's some sharp edges there. Not so much in this touring car race because we didn't see that much green flag action, but I think all of the drivers are on high alert about those track boundaries.
Yeah, and you're right, some of the other categories, lots of cut tires and the like, and there's some pretty abrupt drop-offs on the backside of those curbs, and some of the leading edges of the curbs. If you get to them, when you turn over them, as you turn in, the front tire might not hit that edge, but if you're really tight, the back tire could hook it. That was addressed in the driver briefings as well, and as you said, the other touring car guys didn't get a whole lot of green flag running. A little bit more ride height, a little bit more ability for them, but you could still damage things here. Again, 40-minute race. Grid established, as we talked about, by fast laps in yesterday's race. 40 minutes of competition. Finished under caution, hoping today that we'll be able to get a lot more green flag racing in because these guys generally tend to put on a pretty spectacular show.
They certainly do, and that changes your strategy a lot in terms of your starting tire pressures, how hard you push, and I think that's what backfired on Johann Schwartz a little bit yesterday. He was trying to manage his tires and have something if there was a reset. We got those resets, but he didn't get a quick lap in, so he'll be starting from the second rather good. He has a fast car. Be curious to see how our championship leader approaches these early laps today.
Absolutely. Jeff Rico came in third in the points, big incident in qualifying, and didn't race yesterday, won't today. Johan, 2 wins and a third this year. Toby Grahovic, the model of consistency, 3 straight second-place finishes. I'm sure he's getting a little tired of being the bridesmaid. And
he needs to try and get that top step of the podium because the delta between first and second in points is 7 points. It's a big swing, so if he can turn the tables on Johann Schwartz here today, he'd love to do it.
Federal sits 4th in the points, and then 7 behind him is Steve Strymer, who starts on that outside front row. So opportunity here for Strymer to maybe make something happen as the field out behind our Acura NSX GT car. That is our official safety and pace vehicle for the weekend. And a little bit of cloud cover out there right now, still fairly early in the morning, so sun low in the sky anyway. A little bit of cloud cover. And now on this long back straight, this track is just simply spectacular. They break it into 3 segments for timing and scoring, but it almost works because the 3 segments are very different in nature, aren't they?
They really are. I mean, Sector 1 down into that first corner. It's a great overtaking opportunity, but if you get it wrong and down to the inside, there's nowhere to go with, as we saw yesterday with Terry getting up and over that curb and unfortunately taking Richard Zullman out. Then a very technical section, then it opens up. You just come through the snake and up through those high-speed climbing S's to Oak Tree Turn. Key is to get out of there with a lot of traction and good power down to lead you onto the back stretch, which they're on right now. And then it doesn't give up there. You go through that right-hander, down the roller coaster, and Hog Pen is a very demanding final corner.
Yeah, real tricky. We saw lots of moments for some of the teams and drivers yesterday. As you can see, the safety vehicle now starting to move away from the field a little bit, and it'll be under the control of Chandler Hull in the Copart Bimmer World BMW to bring the field up. Once you get into the last corner with that pace car is clear, you can start to accelerate but no moving out of line until the green flag. Then once the green flag flies, wide open.
You can, and you can actually pass before the stripe, but you cannot poke even a headlight outside of that column that you're in.
And they're flying in nice formation here. Our race director will be very pleased to see that. And Chandler just bringing them up at a very nice even pace. Strymer again, the yellow BMW on the right of your screen, as Chandler doing a nice job. We are green, and look at Johann Schwartz timing it and jumping down to the inside, Cal. And he got a little bit of a run. How much room will Chandler give him? How much will Johann force it? He's willing to go for it.
Watch Strymer, though, as he swings across. There's a dangerous move. Oh, and Strymer just loses it by himself. Cold tires there, just loses the rear end. Everyone takes evasive action. I don't think there was, yes, there's contact there. The rear bumper has been taken off.
And there's the car that probably clipped him. It looks like it could be That is a huge, yes, indeed, the 26, Toby Grahovic.
Oh, right front suspension damage, Greg.
Oh, man, after 3 straight seconds, as we talked about, this is going to be bad. And Strymer, you can see the damage there on that left front corner, and that was pretty significant, that hit. Yeah, he's broken as well.
I thought everyone had cleared him, but I think as Steve rolled across the racetrack, he just caught the front of Grahovic's car.
And he's trying to see if he can get the car off track here and get it into a safe position, but there's debris down there in turn 1. We'll have to see if the corner marshals, yeah, smart move, I think, by race control, saying, yeah, there's just too much junk, probably some fluid as well down there. So right off the bat, a full course caution. It looked like Strymer was going to make that outside move work.
He really did, and my concern was Schwartz down to the inside. Sometimes you suddenly get that leading car swing across the apex as Grahovic tries to scramble his car back to pit lane, see if they can get a fix done. I don't think it's possible within this short 40-minute race to really get an effective job done here. That right front suspension is broken, probably got a toe link that's broken. You can see the right front towing out right now.
And obviously he'll be beside himself, strongly poised in the championship points tables, and having this happen. And part of the problem is they can get it fixed, but you've got to get through 75% of the winner's laps. And by the time they get that fixed, I don't know that they'll be there anyway. And if you don't do that, no matter where you finish, you're not classified, you don't get points. But they may want to fix it, and we've seen some other teams this weekend that were out of the win or even podium contention in a big way, but they fix the car, come out, and just use it as a test session.
Yeah, typically you see that for race 1. When it's race 2, I mean, if they just think we're not going to get any points, they may just park it for the day. But either way, the Classic team will take a close look here and see if they get an effective fix done in the time available to them.
And of course, we will see Toby again. He and his teammate Chris Omacht will be running in the GT4 Sprint X race. Here's another look at it, Cal.
Well, you see Schwartz down to the inside. I was worried he was going to get into the back of Strymer, and then I don't think there was a bump, but now it looks a little bit closer than I initially thought. Did Johan actually touch him when he was up on the curb? It was tight. That was my initial thought, Greg. It was Schwartz down to the inside. The leader comes across the apex there.
You see Grahovic is trying to get that car back, but struggling. He made it into pit lane as the clock, of course, continues to run under the full course caution. And Strymer was able to get the car moved and sort of tucked it into a nice area. Here's another look.
Take a look. I thought Strymer had cleared him, but let's take another look how tight it is.
No, I don't think there was contact. No.
Just as he started to lose it, I saw Schwartz up on the curb a little bit, so his front end bobbled at about the same time as Steve started to lose it.
Yeah, and then Grahovic came through and just could not quite get the car moved.
Is that up? Up.
And as a result, clipped it.
It's not all the way up.
And obviously, Toby had some steering input in because there's not much damage to the bodywork around that right corner. So the tire had been, obviously, is what caught Strymer's car primarily.
Right.
And it just really did some damage to the front end of Strymer's car.
Yeah, it's just a touch, and sometimes that tire is literally just poking outside of the wheel arch there and just catches it and rips the suspension.
We've said it before, haven't we? In racing, so many things, it's just about angles. You know, that wheel is turned a little bit straighter, might not even have caught anything. As a result,
weekend for these touring car competitors.
That has been tough. I'll tell you, a few teams better than Classic BMW, and of course the race team, the shop, if you will, that runs the Classic BMW racing program is Fast Track Racing, and they're a solid group.
Certainly have a tremendous amount of experience, multi-car operation, but this is really against the clock. You can't afford to really lose more than 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
The 40-minute race. It's done on laps, but if you just equate it to time in a 40-minute race, the clock is ticking.
As we continue to run now under the caution here, and for Johan, boy, what an opportunistic driver he is. Senses an opportunity. Chandler left that little bit of a window, and Johan said, that'll work. I'm going to try and get down there.
Seems like he set himself back a little bit with a little bit of a gap so he could just watch for the green, jump out, which you're allowed to do once the green flag flies, and then got that inside lane all the way down in there. The concern is always is that as everyone funnels into the apex that there could be contact, but on that second look, I do not think there was a touch, even though there was a little bobble with Johan up and over the curb to create some room for his competitors outside of him.
And after the incident yesterday, Richard Zullman in third once again. It's where the incident happened to him yesterday, so I don't know if he's superstitious or not, but he has been really impressive this year. Not a lot of racing experience, certainly not in the U.S. and in SRO competition, but he showed some great speed yesterday in the early running.
He really did. I think the whole operation has got some good setups. He can take Johan's lead, who has the experience to be a team leader, and work on the direction that they're going with.
And I'll tell you, talk about opportunistic. How about Mosey Uretsky in the number 55? Is it looks like we're going back to green?
Certainly looks that way. Safety car is in, and Johan Schwartz leads the pack back to the green flag.
Well, I think as soon as they had the opportunity to go, they went. And that orange and white BMW in the 4th spot is Mosey Uretsky. He started 13th, Cal. And with that incident, he found a clear lane and took huge advantage of it. And it looks like Nimkov also, who had that incident yesterday, up from 10th into a solid position as well.
Man on the move early is also Paul Terry. They made a nice move coming out of turn 1 in that number 33 red and racing Nissan. Meanwhile, up front, Johan Schwartz establishing a nice gap. Zullman in the second of the Rooster Hall Racing cars runs second behind our Paul Setter Hull.
Uretsky, after that incident yesterday, he would like to be able to get the job done here. And looks like Chandra Soma had been running in the 5th spot. He's slipped back a couple of spots. And there's Capizzi. That was Capizzi, not Nimkov, who continues to put a strong run on in the 5th spot.
For these drivers, they're just hoping to get into a rhythm. We had a disrupted day here on Friday where the second practice was effectively rained out, and then we had a very disrupted race 1 yesterday. So for these drivers, really their first opportunity to try and get in some kind of rhythm on this very demanding racetrack.
Sitting in the 6th spot is sorry about that, Cameron Evans, and he's in that blue and white BMW that's right in front of that black and blue Nissan of Paul Terry. And Terry, as you said, yeah, is really starting to show some speed. He was quick yesterday and then just got caught up in that incident with Zullman.
Yeah, he just made that late move down to the inside into turn 1. Couldn't quite make it stick, but he'll be looking to try and bounce back here today. It's been a nice clean start for him, but up front, Schwartz is stretching that lead.
Let's see what it is. It was half a second last lap, up to almost a second this time by over Chandler Hull. And oh, Uretsky coming from way back down on the inside of Zullman. And I think Zullman was seeing a deja vu moment and just opened that wheel up and now trying to counterpunch the other side, Cal.
Yeah, it was like cut and paste from yesterday when Terry made that bold move down to the inside. Richard saw it coming, opened up his hands a little bit, gave him some racing room, and then there's that very tricky approach to turn 3 as Zullman now dives to the inside. Side by side as they approach the snake. Zullman a little bit wide, he's got to be careful. The guys behind him, they take advantage as he tries to probe for a way back to that 3rd spot.
Yeah, trying to get Mosey off his rhythm a little bit. Looks like he may have. He's right there, but you get through the snake and then into these climbing S's, there's really nowhere to do anything, even if you get a run, because you're not going to run side by side through this part of the track.
It's hard to follow like they are so tight coming up through there. If someone in front of you has a little bobble, it can get you offline immediately. There's nowhere to go. So big challenges here at VIR.
Mosey, as we talked about, he came from a long way back. Watch the move here, but Zullman clearly saw him start the move.
Yeah, he did. He sort of like got late on the brakes. He's almost going to run into the back of Richard Chong, dive then down to the inside. So I'm not sure if he was initially thinking about making the move, then it just kind of had to go in that direction and made it stick. It was a nice move at the end of the day. Zullman gave him some nice racing room as well.
Well, and I mean, that's just smart racecraft and track awareness by Zullman, knowing, you know, yeah, I could turn in here, but he's going to hit me. Look what happened yesterday. Better to lose a position and keep racing. Pretty impressive because they didn't have a morning warm-up, so clearly Uretsky and that Murillo team, they did not only a great job getting the car repaired, but gave him a pretty racy car at that.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a guesstimate with the track. It keeps evolving over the course of the weekend. We didn't have a promoter test day here on Thursday, so not a lot of rubber was put down, particularly with the rain on Friday afternoon, then rain overnight. So for these teams, Terry, big ball move down to the inside. He's in the grass.
And does it again. Second day, almost a repeat. This time catches the back of Capizzi.
He just gets really bold down there, and at the end of the day, there's no way. You got to wait for those competitors to clear the apex, and that was what I was expecting at the start of the race when Schwartz made his move. But
at some point, those people up front have got to turn, and you've got to be aware of it. Let's watch it again here. Back of the frame, here he comes.
In the draft, and he just commits down to the inside, and there's just nowhere to go. He's up and over the curb, in the grass even. Just turns to Capizzi, who was having a really solid run here today.
Yeah, I mean, Evans, he went by Evans, and Evans saw him and just left the wheel open. But yeah, Capizzi had no clue that he was going to be coming. Meanwhile, up front, Schwartz now the lead up to about 1.2 seconds.
His last lap was the best of the day. His fast lap right now, a 2:03 flat.
Well, that's contact once again. I think that might be Federal in that number 23. He had a moment, as you recall, if you were with us when we did the qualifying show.
That's well and truly beat.
Yeah, it's up at Oak Tree.
It's a tricky corner. We saw several competitors in the races yesterday run afoul of that. If you just get a little bit wide, a little bit offline, you just can't recover the front end before you're in the tire barrier.
And for the frustration, I'm sure that he is feeling at this point, Joseph is. Maybe he could take some solace in the fact that he's a pretty good company, because some of the best GT drivers, certainly in this country and possibly around the world, had the same thing happen up in that corner yesterday.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed. He came into this race 4th in points, and with Jeff Ricker not competing here today, had the opportunity to jump to the 3rd spot, but they'll try and get that car back. They can just pull that bodywork off and just continue to circulate, try and get some points, get up in the top 10.
And Uretsky now has been able to stretch that margin, and Zulman has dropped back just a little bit, Cal. He's lost a couple of spots, as now it's Cameron Evans has moved up into the 4th spot, Nimkov into 5th, Radisik through as well, and then Zulman. So I'm not sure if Zulman had a little off somewhere.
Well, Chandler Hull has not given up on the thought of winning this race here today. He's carved into that lead that Johan had established, just laid down the fastest lap of the race and moved the marker up into the 2s, a 2:02.5. which was about 4/10 quicker than the leader on that last lap. So his car is coming in very nicely.
And Zulman must have had an off or something, because his last lap was a 2:13 while he'd been running into the high 2:04s. And I just saw, as the number 8 of Radisik, having himself a solid run here, knocking on the door of a top 5 in the Precision Driving Tech.com entry. But these two have just sort of checked out and made it their own race, haven't they?
Yeah, and you know, for Johan Schwartz, he's so savvy. He may be just trying to save those tires a little bit, but he's allowing Chandler Hull to get ever closer to that rear bumper of his BMW. Maybe he's just kind of teasing him, trying to lead him along to try and use his tires up a little bit.
So we talked about the fact that that Copart car, Bimmer World, such immense track knowledge here. It's their home track. Their shop's not that far away, and they know it. But Johan doing just a superb job. The West Virginia logo on the side of the car. Great support from West Virginia and their engineering department and their SAE program. A couple of young people from the SAE engineering program are always invited to be part of the team. Last year, one of them not only was going for his degree in engineering, but also in astrophysics. All right, and obviously we've seen the problems that have unfolded for the classic BMW team and Toby Grahovic in the early going. Ryan, what's the word? Well, apparently some little technical issue with Ryan down in pit lane. We'll try and get back to him as soon as we can. All right, let's try it again. Ryan?
Thank you, Greg. All right, let's try it again. Hopefully it's working this time. We've got Alex Perry, the crew chief for Classic. The good news is the car is back out on track. Toby behind the wheel, but there were some pretty significant repairs that had to be undertaken. So what did you guys do, and what is the status of the car?
So we had contact in turn 1. The right front lower control arm was bent, basically like a banana. So we had to replace that and get the car back out there as fast as we can. Flat right front tire, basically the wheel was gone as well. So get those things replaced, and Toby's back out there. Hopefully we can get some points this race, salvage what we can in race 2, and look forward to the next race weekend.
Got to get to, what, 75% of the winner's ultimate distance. Is there enough time? Is that something you think you can get done?
It's definitely going to be close. If the leader gets 20 laps, we got to get 16, and we're down by 4, so it should be right there. So Toby can't get passed by the leader, so hopefully we can get that 75%.
How does Toby say the car is handling as he's gone back out?
He says it's not great, but he's going to manage, and hopefully he can make it through the last 30 minutes of this race.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alex.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, and obviously some of the people that are in front of him, Terry, Federal, have been having their issues. And, you know, if he can get into the top 10, at least he'll get a point. That's something.
Yeah, and it's a tough day, but it's all about damage limitation at this stage of the game. And you never know at the end of the season, you maybe ruin the fact if you didn't get back out there and maybe grab that point that was on the table.
Obviously, there's a look as we talk Federal in and the damage to the left front corner. As you said, Cal, looked like the car was rolling along fine. It was just there was a lot of body rubbed down on that tire. And they're just trying to figure out a way to get that car back out. Get that big crowbar out there.
Same thing for Federal. He's fourth in the points, so any points he can gain would be welcome.
You hear the crew guy saying that he wasn't concerned about the top part of where the tire was, but it's down on the front end where that bodywork is folded back. He said that's where sounds like where they're really struggling. And the problem is
brushing that inner fender a little bit,
right.
So you've got to try and bend that, and then with the downforce at speed, it'll probably push everything a little bit closer to the wheel and P0 tire.
And you get one of just any kind of a sharp edge there, and it can just sort of lathe its way right through that tire. Good battle here back in the pack. I think that is Radisek with Nimkoff and Zulman. Good battle for the 5th spot.
Richard's picking up the draft there. He's got a couple of cars in front of him, then he slingshots out. Going to be on the wrong side of the road, though, to probably make it stick unless he gets really brave. He's looking, runs really wide, just keeps it together. I think if you're going to protect, you always want to take that right-hand lane, even if they're coming past you on the left side. Typically, you just take your braking in a little bit deeper, force them out wide as you hit the roller coaster.
Radisek in the classic BMW entry put the deal together late. Initially, I thought it was just going to be for this race, but we're hearing that he might be back and run a few more races with the team. Nimkoff now swinging to the outside in the Auto Technic BMW, and Radisek sensed that, protected.
Yeah, really compromised his rolling speed through the middle of the apex there, and Nimkoff had nowhere to go with it at this stage, but he's certainly working him over and trying to set up a pass.
As Radisek protects and slows he and Nimkoff down, Zulman now right back into the mix after having dropped off by about 5 car lengths.
Michael Radisek doing 6 races here this weekend with the GT4 Sprint and Sprint X races as well.
So look at Paul Terry and the Paul Terry Trucking Reardon Racing Nissan, and working on that front splitter. In that left front corner, see the wrinkle. Back to this battle for 5th spot.
Zulman's in a similar position to the previous lap, so see if he can tighten things up through 11 and 12 and get a good clean exit out of Oak Tree and take advantage of that double punch in the air from those 2 BMWs in front of him.
Oh, he wanted it.
He was going for it.
You could hear him pick that throttle up really early and just got just that little bit too greedy.
He was thinking what I was thinking.
Yeah, he sure was. And now Capizzi.
Oh, Nimkov gets the run.
He got him. It's great to see after that huge off that Nimkov had yesterday. Late in the race, won the team. Auto Technic doing a great job getting him a car to run here, and then Nimkov obviously able to compartmentalize and put that off behind him and just get with the program today.
Really impressive how early you got on the power there as you come through the roller coaster. Gaps Radisik immediately. Takes the pressure off, just focus on hitting his marks now and get him lap time underneath him, see if he can close in on the battle up front. Evans having a really strong run in the 4th position is his next target.
There is Johan, who's been able to stretch that margin. Hull turned fastest lap of the race a few laps back, as you talked about. When he got that margin closed down, he turned to 2-minute 2.5. But now Johan has been able to just eke that margin out just a little bit more. There's a look at Evans. You're right, doing a great job.
Lead is really close in terms of lap times, Greg, just a few hundreds apart, just trading laps at this stage. You'd have to believe that Johan is trying to manage that gap, keep it right there at about 1.5 seconds so that he can just pick his line and not have to compromise and get too defensive. He floats speed there through Oak Tree.
See those bright yellow Sabelt gloves. Great supporter of their team, and Johan always talks about it's an easy way to spot how the car is handling and how things are going is how much yellow you see flashing around inside that cockpit, and it looks to be pretty planted right now. Down through the roller coaster.
Johan has so many great partners. Instrument have been with him since his racing program in 2013, so he's just looking strong here, looking strong for the championship season. Certainly Kozarov was tough to beat last year, but I think Johan learned some lessons last year and has come back even stronger. I think the car's setup is better. It's all about just execution at this stage as he's searching for his 3rd win of the year. Wow, was super deep in there, had to wait to turn in. Nice bounce back for Uretsky after the problems yesterday.
Yeah, it's doing a really fine job.
Murillo having a good weekend. GT4 and touring cars have been really, really quick here. Great flow to this section of the track. This is the area of the curves that the drivers have been warned about. Don't drop wheels over that back edges, as they say that. Evans does exactly that. They did some work on the curves last night to grind them down and take away some of the sharpness to that. The problem is when you drop off the backside and then you pull the car back on, it was kind of hitting the inner sidewall and slicing them. Drivers were warned of that in the drivers' meeting earlier this weekend, as we see Terry now back on track.
He always goes very quick here. If he can just rein in that tendency to be a little over aggressive, he could really put together some, I think, some success here. He's quick.
He's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's just the consistency is not quite there yet, but certainly in terms of speed and performance, it's always on tap.
Let's look there at the birthday boy, Shehan Chandrasoma.
Hitting the walls a little bit today, but certainly enjoying the experience running here at VIR. At that big moment yesterday when he came rushing up on Richard Zullman, who was running at low pace, having been taken out in turn 1, and certainly got his attention in the high-speed S's, went for quite the ride.
We're just talking about Paul Terry, of course, runs that Paul Terry Trucking Nissan with Reardon Racing, and Ryan is with the team owner.
Yes, Lara Tallman, the team owner for Reardon Racing. Paul back out on track. That's the good news. I know it's been a challenging weekend for him, but maybe an opportunity to showcase how good your team is, the work that they put in to get that car back out on track. That was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, they did a great job. Unfortunately, they did have a lot of work to do, and it, didn't pay off So he will finish the race, I think, if he is wise out there now. So I hope so. He can at least get points for finishing.
What is the status of the car? How beat up is it after a couple of tough days?
Thankfully, it's all body work, so it looks bad, but it's fine. It's, you know, the Nissans have been amazing cars. That car was the first 370Z we started racing. It's still doing really well, as you saw yesterday, fastest lap. So it'll be out to win some more races next time.
Yes, so that is the plan. When is the next time we'll see you guys out on track?
The next TC race is Portland, so we'll be in Portland.
Looking forward to seeing you there. Hopefully a better weekend then. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, yeah.
Looking at Terry's car, and I'm not sure they got that splitter attached, so I think he's running without it, so he's probably suffering from a big understeer in the race car right now, and just trying to keep the car rolling, maybe jump up into that top 10. He's currently 11th, so we'll need a little bit of help to get points here today.
The margin up front, Johan has last couple of laps, Cal, he's just by half a tenth. He's been able to open that margin up just a little bit more. He's up to about 1.3 seconds over Chandler Hull, who's been very impressive this weekend in terms of his speed. That save he made at the exit of 10 in yesterday's race was a beauty, because if you don't save it, it's usually pretty big.
It
is
is.
that part of the track.
He really takes his car deep into the brake zone here, and he can see that gap is not really getting blown out here, so it's keeping him very much focused and engaged. Just one little slip from Johan, and Chandler's going to be right with him.
And I'll tell you, Mosey is running laps in the same speed window as those two leaders, and it's a very impressive run for Mosey, especially again in a car that was rebuilt after a bit of contact and didn't have any kind of a morning warm-up to suss it out. Clearly the team has given him a really solid car, and if he had been able to get to the front a little bit sooner, he's able to run pretty solid pace with them right now.
Same with Cameron Evans.
Yeah.
Great run by him today, running in that 4th position and running laps within 2/10 of the leader's pace, so that's a great sign of things to come for the rest of the season.
Interesting thing with Cameron, obviously, just a great competitor. And, you know, of course, his dad, Steve, one of the great broadcasters and the like, so he's been in the family. But Cameron's developed certainly a pretty big name on his own here. He's a former president and CEO of Redline Synthetic Oil, former editor of popular Hot Rod magazine and a TV show by the same name on Spike TV for a lot of years. He ran the 2018 in a BMW racing with Sorg Rennsport, that Bimmerworld combination in the VLN, the 80 AC 6-hour, and the Ring 24. And I'm trying to remember what year, I think it was 2017, he won the June Sprints in the T3 class. And June Sprints is a very, very big race. Oh, Terry, a little bit of a spin once again. As you said, struggling probably with a little of the grip at the front of that car right now.
Yeah, and that affects your braking ability as well, as he gets in really deep there to turn 1. Just loses the rear end, as you could see, but just needs to settle down a little bit. As we said, he's got the pace, just needs to control it a little bit, and I think the results will come.
He's gathered up once again. He's got to account for the fact that you just don't have the balance on the car right now.
You can see the front end there, and he's going to pull up through the shortcut there.
I think he's decided that maybe the car just feels a little diabolical right now.
Yeah, we don't want to risk anything. I mean, it's going to be a struggle for him to get into the top 10 in points.
That's a smart move. Yeah, the car, that, you know, it's just a risk for you. It's a risk for other cars too, that if something happens there. So that was a smart move by Paul. One last thing on Cameron here. Cameron Evans, just want to mention that for a few years back in the mid-2000s, he ran the Russell Formula Mazda series. A couple of guys in that series with names that you might recognize. Dane Cameron, Jeff Westphal in that same era. So he's been doing it for a while, and he and Chandler Hull are proving to be a pretty solid 1-2 punch for this Copart Bimmer World team.
Biggest gap of the day, really, for Johan. Just outside the 2-second margin between the two leaders right now, so looking very much under control. And I think for the points, so many of the front runners that had a difficult weekend, this is going to be a strong sweep potentially for Johan and really blow out that points lead a little bit.
Well, and he's clearly was saving things a little bit, Cal, because that last lap, he just set fast lap of the race at a 2:02.49. And so for Chandler Hull, he was maybe thinking, maybe I've got something for him. Just the experience of Johan and that Rooster Hull team showing right now.
Yeah, well, his lap times are going in one direction and Chandler's are backing up a little bit. So I think that's the critical phase in this race, where you get deep into the green flag run. What is the balance of the car like? How much have you used the tires up to achieve the track position and the pace you've run in the early stages?
That part of the track, you talked about it, the technical nature from 1 all the way to 5. And then you get into the snake.
And you smile.
Because you are heading into a great piece of racing real estate here, up into the climbing S's. So watch Johan through here. Just fluid.
It is not an easy part of the racetrack to commit to. Evans seems like he's getting a little closer to Uretsky. This battle for the final podium position may not be over yet with
How about Evans?
8 minutes to go.
Fast lap of the race in that chart. You are spot on.
Uretsky can now see him. Yeah, he had a little mistake there in turn 11. His mirrors are getting full of that number 82 BMW.
About 7.5 minutes for Cameron to be able to do something here. Watch them down through the roller coaster.
He's getting ever closer.
Yes, he is.
Uretsky, as he starts to push a little bit more, does he have any sweet spot left in his tires to respond here?
Just going to mention Nimkoff and the Autotechnic BMW still holds that top 5 spot. There's Mosey. Uretsky in the Murillo entry. Let's see what the margin is this time. It was about a second last time by. And almost identical.
Yeah. Almost to the 100th in terms of that last lap. So Uretsky still has pace.
Yeah, he just
give up that podium position easy.
He just turned his personal best, didn't he, as a response? He needed to find it.
Sometimes you're in a rhythm and you think, I'm not really pushing. As soon as you demand any more from the car and the tire, you realize you were on the limit. You just found the sweet spot.
You know, these guys are only, what, about 3.5 seconds off Chandler Hull.
Yeah, and Chandler Hull's times have really gone in the opposite direction. He's now running high 3, so he's losing about a second a lap to this chasing pair of Uretsky and Evans.
And Johan so savvy, getting obviously input over the radio from the team, from Eric and the gang. And they've told him that Hull's times are backing off, and Johan easing off just a little bit as well. But boy, Cameron is now close.
He is close, and he should pick up the effect of the draft here. Slipstream here down that very fast back straight towards the roller coaster, and this is when you're looking in your rearview mirror. Make sure you still at your braking point for the roller coaster. So easy to make a mistake here, but Evans is right there, closes onto the tail of that bright orange Murillo Racing BMW. He's going to be able to maintain pace and close the gap to Hull in second. As the battle rages.
Well, Evans now, it's a car length.
Oh, Uretsky's starting to get defensive. He can see Evans is thinking about making a move here. Will he flick to the outside? Uretsky takes that inside lane. Nice driving there.
Good respect between those two. Oh, look at this. Cameron trying to cut back underneath.
New fast lap for Evans on that last lap. He has amazing pace at 2:02.3. He looks to the inside. Things are heating up, and they are getting ever closer to Hull up ahead there. You can see that car in the second position is not that far away any longer.
Yeah, that margin from Hull back to Uretsky now is about 3 seconds, so they are definitely taking bits. And now that's forcing Uretsky. He's making little mistakes, Cal.
That's the trouble. This is a racetrack that demands precision, and if you're distracted, it's very easy to miss your marks and start running a little bit wide. And you come through a section like this, a little mistake early just compounds itself later in the sequence of turns.
This is for a podium as well.
Evans on that last lap was nearly a second quicker than Chandler Hull, who runs in second.
Oh, Evans a lot more of an open run. He gets to the throttle a little bit
Beautiful.
sooner.
That looked good.
Yeah, it did. Boy, if he can get through on Uretsky, you would think he could take off after Hull here.
Time is not on his side as you look at the clock there. Just 3.5 minutes left. Key will be how the leader hits the stripe in terms of whether they're right on time or whether they get basically an additional lap. Roll speed there. Evans' car has just really come to life here in the late stages. Great job of the Bimmer World team in terms of getting the setup, starting tire pressure. Uretsky floats wide through Hogpen.
I don't know that he's going to be close enough, Evans, to do anything down into turn 1. His lap time a 2:03.3 that time.
Ooh, really tight there. That was almost contact. His car is quicker. He's just got to be patient. But he's only got a couple of minutes to work with. Good racing respect there. And they are catching Hull. Hull is now up in the 2:04 range.
Oh, and a nice adjustment by him, by Evans, as he came through the exit of 3 to try and set something up into 4, and realized it wasn't going to happen. Checked up. Didn't want to hit
big
him.
time now.
Yeah.
Uretsky gapped him there by Hull having to give it, Evans having to give it up.
Here we go. Up through these S's here. See if Evans is going to be able to get that run onto the back straight.
This car is really strong. When he's asking for a bit more, it's there, Greg. When the others are asking, it tends to give up, so they got the setup spot on. Gives up quite a bit of entry speed there to really focus on the exit. I think if you can kind of blend the two, you can see how close they're getting to Hull there in the second position as well.
And that margin last time by was just over 2 seconds, so they've almost halved it.
Should be white flag this time for our leader.
Is he going to try it here? Nope. I thought he maybe was trying to sell him the dummy to get him to stay left a little bit. Mosey having none of that.
I think Uretsky is too strong to make that move. I think he's just got to focus here on the exit off of this corner. Looks good. Now Uretsky's going to have to defend. He'll probably take that right-hand lane early. Force him to the outside.
And as you said, white flag is out on our final lap for Johann Schwartz. And the rest of the field still Hull. But boy, that gap.
Oh, they're off.
Oh, no.
Evans maybe went to the outside and just got in super deep. I'm not sure if there was a brush or not. Saw Uretsky taking that inside lane down into the turn 1 braking zone, which he's certainly entitled to do, but Evans put it all on the line there and maybe just tried to run around the outside of the corners, take another look at it. Oh, he did get down to the inside.
Yeah.
Just carried too much speed in there, so one would assume Uretsky just opened up the door as he committed to it.
So, well, he sure made it entertaining for a while there, didn't he? Still sits, tells you the margin they had back to the rest of the field. Evans still hangs on to that 4th spot. Here's his young teammate, Chandler Hull.
I did not expect to see that image of where Evans had got to the inside, because Uretsky coming down that front straightaway after they crossed the stripe took that right-hand lane. Evans may have faked him out and made that chop over to the inside and just couldn't get the speed reduced in time.
And Johan easing off a little bit here. His last lap was a 2:04.5. Knowing he's only got one more lap to go. All right, here we go into the roller coaster. Schwartz is through. Chandler is through.
Perfectly managed race by Johan here today.
Yeah, savvy, just savvy.
Got a little bit lucky with Strymer's spin and not getting contact there.
Here we go for the sweep. Johan Schwartz, Rooster Hall Racing, BMW, sweeping the weekend here at Virginia International Raceway. Presented by Henry Repeating Arms. Great drive by Johan. And a great drive by Chandra Hull as well. Pole to second. He's got a young man with a future. And Mosey Uretsky, how about 13th to 3rd?
Yeah, that was an amazing run.
Not a bad day at all.
I tell you what, I'd love a reset. I'd love that top 4 to do a quick reset and go at it again, because I think it would be a sensational battle with the pace that everyone was displaying at the end.
And Cameron Evans, boy, that thing, he was fast at the end, no question.
Not sure known how that developed, where he managed to get that car back down to the inside, admittedly, with too much speed, but.
Be interesting to see how if Cameron can find that kind of pace a little earlier in the race in the future. He's going to be somebody to keep a serious eye on. Let's see, Nimkov hanging on to the 5th spot in the Autotechnic BMW, Radisek in the Classic BMW in 6th, Capizzi in the 2nd Autotechnic BMW in 7th, Zulman in the 8th spot. And Chandra Soma would be in 9th, Federal in the 10th spot. So unfortunately for Toby Grahovic, looks like he might have made that 75%, but he's outside of the points anyway. So tough day for the gentleman that came in a solid 2nd in the points. But for Johan, 4 races, 3 wins, and a 3rd. And leaps out now to a fairly sizable lead in the points at this stage.
Yeah, he's going to have 90 points here tonight. So with Grahovic's problems and Ricker not making the grid here today. Thoughts for Jeff Ricker. Hopefully he's okay. Took a big backwards hit in qualifying here yesterday morning. Was transported to a local hospital for observation, but we hope to see him back on the grid for the next round of the championship.
Yeah, they said he was released, so that's the good news. And there's a look at the provisional results for race 2 of the weekend, 4th round of the championship for the TC America Touring Car class here at VIR. It's presented by Henry Repeating Arms as the field comes down into the pit lane. Look forward to hearing from Johan Schwartz, as you pointed out, Cal. That was just fabulous race management. Did what he needed to do at the start, as you said, was opportunity there for something to go wrong, and he was able to avoid that and avoid the spinning Strymer.
He certainly got Grahovic's car dialed in. He set fastest lap there right at the end, 202.1.
Oh, wow. That's by a chunk, too. Because Evans had the previous one, a 202.36.
Case of what might have been.
Yes. There's that familiar West Virginia University logo for Johan as he makes his way in. I'll give a shout out too to the folks from Luma Rank. He's a great addition this year on the upper right part of the windshield, left on as you look at it. That illuminated LED panel that changes between overall race position and the 3-digit code for the driver's name. Great for all the fans around the track. Johan peeling those glasses off. The helmet and balaclava will come off, and Ryan is there.
A sweep of the weekend for Johan Schwartz. What a race, he says. What a move. Turn 1, lap 1. That might have been the move of the race. How'd you do it?
Oh, well, I was just kind of thinking a lot about it last night, about what to do, what certain scenario. And obviously the plan can change just in a heart. And I saw the opportunity to go on the inside. And Chandler, I've raced with him before. He's a really good driver. I can trust him, and he can trust me. I held it on the inside, and unfortunately for teammate Steve Stremmer, had to go out of the race. I was really hoping for a good race for him. Ben, I couldn't do it without these guys from West Virginia University, Dan and Betsy Brown, Todd and Michelle Brown, and the whole crew. What an awesome job. Diamond Creek, Instromart, everybody, Redline Oil, man, this thing is spinning like a top.
It's a perfect weekend for you. 2 wins. Congratulations. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, great points haul. He gets the big picture.
He does. It's a dominating lead to have this early in the season. Going to be tough for the competitors to come back, but racing is racing for Johan if he hits a little problematic streak and could get everyone back in the game.
All right, let's take a look at some of those moments, and of course it all starts with a great read, and Johan's moved to the inside, but the yellow BMW of his teammate Streimer
The lazy spin there on relatively cold tires. Grahovic gets caught up and rips out his front suspension. Terry takes avoiding action there at the back of the pack.
And then, as you can see, the damage to Grahovic's car in that right front corner. As you pointed out, they apparently got it well fixed. Getting fast lap right at the end. And this fast track racing classic BMW team, awfully good. And they went after it. Then a great move here by Uretsky.
Yeah, just dives down to the inside, late on the brakes, and just takes it down the inside on Richard Zullman, who's having another strong start to the weekend.
Once again, Uretsky up from 13th on the grid into 3rd. And in that moment, when Evans got way down to the inside, but apparently a little bit too much pace.
Last lap, all to go for.
And speaking of last lap, Johan Schwartz managing the race beautifully and bringing it home. So that wraps up our coverage of round 4 of the TC America's Touring Car Division here, Virginia International Raceway. Thank you so much for joining us. And you heard the touring cars will be racing next at Portland International Raceway on the West Coast. Hope you join us for our coverage of the TC America's Championship. Take care, everybody.